Hello and welcome to All Things Sky Blue. We're just doing our pre-season transfers, if you like, looking into our different parts that we've looked at. So in the past, we've looked at goalkeepers, left wing backs, right wing backs, and centre backs. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to look at the midfielders as a whole, and we're also going to look at the attackers as well. So normally, we look at 3 transfers that we'd like to bring in. We're only going to look at 2 of each this time, just because we feel that the midfield is pretty much set. We know that the issues around Gus and whether he is or whether he isn't going to sign a contract are up in the air still. But at the moment, he's still our player, and we're looking to move ahead with him at the moment. So we will see what happens on that. As always, I'm joined by Josh. Evening, Josh.
Hi, Stu. You okay, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you. And the third member of the team is Danny. Hi, Danny. You okay?
Hi, Stuart. Yeah, yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Not too bad.
Good.
Obviously, the speculation of the strikers is an interesting one that's come up today. How do you feel about Haji Wright, Danny?
Yeah, he seems good. He's got a good goal scoring record over in Turkey, and I think he scored at the World Cup last year. Looks like a big, strong striker, and he's played in a few different countries as well. So I think moving over here won't faze him.
Yeah, definitely.
Just quite a surprise, really, at the fee being touted about. So yeah, it'd just be interesting if we can get that one over the line. Apparently, he's coming over today for a medical in the morning. So it's all positive stuff, but it's certainly a bit of a shock.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree. How about you, Josh? How do you feel about him?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I've heard of him until 5-6 hours ago, but I think I agree with Danny. We know we needed someone in that position, if not 2 people. You will probably come on to this, but I'm of the opinion now that we probably need to look past Godden. Maybe not altogether, but certainly as a starter. I think if we are going to aim for those playoffs or even higher, I do think we need probably Sims and a strike partner other than Godden if we do go to up top. But from the highlights I've seen of him, he looks really good. He doesn't look too dissimilar from Vic, but if anything, he looks a little bit more clinical. And from what people have said over in the US and in Turkey, it sounds like he's going to be a really good signing if it goes through.
Yeah, definitely. Like you just said there, obviously, I think everybody's kind of saw against Exeter that, some of the through balls that were going, Godden just didn't seem quick enough really to get on the end of it. He is 32. Obviously, we will come on to the strikers a little bit later on anyway. But he is 32, and with age, speed's one of the things that does let strikers down a little bit, really. But Godden's movement's still there and stuff like that anyway. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. So obviously, people that listen to our Twitter space on a Sunday night at 9 o'clock will know that Danny doesn't particularly want to talk about the guy that we're going to talk about next, but we're going to get it first over and done with Danny. So that's the end of it then. You don't have to talk about him again. And that's Gus Hamer. Look, when we first got him, he was good. I felt that he didn't boss games enough for me. I thought there was still a lot more to come. And his disciplinary record wasn't the greatest when he first arrived here either. A few red cards and, a lot of yellow cards, which then equated to another ban or whatever it may be. But the longer he's been here, the more and more that he's grew into just a battling midfielder that can do pretty much everything that you want a midfielder to do. He's only 26. He still has got another year on his contract. And just to show you, so the 2021 season, when he first came, he played 42 games, 5 goals, 3 assists, which isn't too bad. Your first time in the Championship. The second season, 21-22 season, 39 games, 3 goals, 10 assists, chalked up 14 yellow cards. So it was, you could tell that he had a little bit of a disciplinary issue. Last season, 22-23, which we were ever so close. 41 games, 9 goals, 10 assists. And he also scored 2 of them goals in the playoffs. And obviously in the playoff final where he scored as well. There's not much else I can really say about him. He's got better and better with each season. The fans have loved him and, overall love for him. And that's why it's a little bit harder if he does go this season to say goodbye, especially for me. I know Danny's going to come on in a minute and say, he just wants it over and done with, which I understand and I completely get. But it's harder just because he's such a likeable character, such a nice guy with the fans. I don't want to see him go. I'd love to see him sign a new contract. But we're not people in the know. We don't know anything, so this is kind of just our opinion, if you like. Danny, we'll get yours out and over and done with on Hamer. So how do you feel about Hamer?
Well, yeah, his stats, like you say, he's improving year on year. Really, last season, I think it was 21 goal contributions in 44 games. So he is a class player. I think last season, really, that red card against Birmingham was a turning point, because after that red card, he just changed his game completely. He just seemed to be more tactical on giving away fouls and things like that, and sort of almost getting on with the referees and not getting booked all the time. I really don't know what's going on with his future, really, because everything, it just changes daily. I mean, for instance, today they're putting up pictures of the new kit, yet Gus is in the kit. They do a training video today and he's the centre of attention. He's interviewing the new guy from Holland we've got. What I would say, and I've seen it around, he probably is nothing at all, but on Thursday, it's a third of the 8.
I knew you were going to say that, Danny.
It's a third of the 8th, and Hamer plays number 38. So I don't know. I did think he was going, but now it's just, I don't think anybody knows, to be honest. Everyone's just guessing, and it just drives you insane, because there's so much in the know people, and it's just 1 minute you think he's going, next minute you think he's staying. So I'm with the side of I think he might be staying at the moment.
Well, that's different to Sunday.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Josh?
My favourite Coventry player of all time. And when I say all time, I mean the past 23 years, as I say on most spaces, every Sunday at 9 o'clock on Twitter. Let me just say, if we tie him down for a new deal, forget Sims, forget Sakamoto, forget all the rest, he will be the best piece of business we do this summer, without a doubt, because he is the difference for me between getting in those playoffs and falling short, without a doubt for me. I rate him so highly. I've said it time and time again. I would rather keep Hamer and lose Vic. Obviously, we've lost Vic now, but I really think we need to try and keep Hamer. Give the man whatever he wants, and that's what I'll say about it.
Yeah, like I said at the start when I was talking about Vic, and he didn't boss games enough. Them last 8-9 games, and the playoff final, he just showed me what he can do on a consistent basis and at a consistent level. And like I said, the guy just got better and better. And if I'm honest, yes, Vic helped us get there as well. You can't take that away. But he pulled us through them with, the goals, and his just all-round ability. He can pick a pass. He can score a great goal. We've always, on the touchline when we've watched him, at away games when they're closer to us, and, obviously Singer's corner, see him taking the shots and stuff and shooting practice before the game actually kicks off, is in the corner. You know, every single time he's scoring a goal in that corner. He rarely misses. So yeah, like I said, I hope he stays. If he does get to watch this, which I'm probably sure he doesn't, but if he does, we all want you to stay, Hamer. We all want you to stay, Gus. Please stay for all of us. More so for Josh, really, just so he doesn't get downbeat too much.
This is it. I mean, who am I going to get to do shout outs for us next season? I think what I will say as well, and this may somewhat defeat the purpose of doing this video, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think if Hamer stays and we sign this right lad, I think we may be only one centre back short of being ready for the season. Maybe one loan as well. I think that is how close we are now to being ready.
Yeah, I agree, mate. To be fair, I do agree. So obviously we have got a lot of midfielders to get through, and then we've got to talk about our two transfers of the midfielders as well. So the next one is Ben Sheaf that we'll talk about, age 25. His contract finishes in 2026. Signs a new one at the start of this year. Again, you know, a lad that we had on from Arsenal on loan. His first season on loan. I don't think I was the only one, but I think I was very strong in my opinions about him. Didn't want him back, in all honesty. And I will put my hand on my heart and say I'm so glad I was wrong, because the lad has just got better and better and better. And even though I would probably offer Hamer the captaincy if I had to keep him, I can see him being a captain. I think he's got that much leadership. Again, he's one that can pick a pass. He can score a goal. We saw it against Exeter, a nice clinical goal. He scored 2 against Birmingham to get us, you know, he turned the game on its head with 2 quick-fire goals for us a couple of seasons ago. Again, he's the first name on the team sheet for me. If he's fit and available, he plays. You know, like I said, he can get the odd assist as well. But again, gradually, he's got better and better. First season he came and played 32 games. And then the past 2, he's played 70 games for us in the past 2 seasons. You can't ask for much more, really. He's Mr. Consistent. He's very rarely injured. And yeah, the guy's just brilliant. So, like I said, I'll hold my hand on my heart and say I'm so glad that I was wrong, and that, you know, people that scout these players are scouts for a reason. You know, sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. We know that we've always had a Hissler and De Costa, if you like, to a certain extent. But sometimes they get it bang on. And with Sheaf, they've got it bang on. How do you feel about Sheaf, Danny?
Yeah, I really like him. Again, he's just another player which is getting better year on year for us. And like you say, he's adding goals to his game. He got one last season, didn't he, against Blackpool, and he got, I think, scored against Wrexham in the FA Cup. But yeah, I think he is a future captain. We've got him tied down until 2026, which is incredible business, really, because again, he's just going to be. I think he's got the potential to be one of our best players, and in a couple of years' time, he's going to be worth around about 15 million plus in a couple of years. So he's probably one of my key players at the club at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he can get a tackle in, and he can get forward as well. He's got the legs to get forward and back, and he showed versatility in the past as well, hasn't he, Josh? You know, with playing centre half.
Yeah, and you know, coming from the Arsenal academy, it's no surprise that he can play there, because he's, like we've all said, he's so calm on the ball. But I think I was the same as you, Stuart, when he first joined. I wasn't too keen, didn't want him back as such, and I'll agree with you as well. I'm really pleased I was wrong. But I think what it boils down to is I think he only had a season of, if that, of league football at Doncaster on loan, and nothing can really prepare you for first team football until you get 2 or 3 seasons in the EFL under your belt, because academy football is incredibly different to to EFL football. The amount of time you got on the ball, the intensity, the awareness you got to have. And I think that over time he's got much better. And I still think he's got so much to improve on, which is not a negative at all. It's actually really positive, because in 5-6 years, I can genuinely see him playing in the Premier League. Hopefully for us.
Good. I'm glad you said that one, Josh. I'm glad you said that one. You two have summed it up brilliantly there as well. He has got better and better, and I can only see better things for him. So moving on to the next one, then is one of our own, as we sing, Josh Eccles. Again, somebody he's come through the ranks for Cov. He's still only 23, and I think people that when he was put over to right wing back, people will question him. I don't think he's quite right for central midfield, and I don't think he battles enough. And he was a good right winger. He was making a name for himself at that right wing back position. But when he got a chance to go into that central midfield role, me personally, I think he took it. I think he took it well. He's contracted now until 2027. He signed a new contract again this year, just like Sheaf did. This season, he played 34 games, scored 1 goal, got 2 assists. 8 of them came at right wing back. So again, another person that shows diversity and the versatility in the different positions that they can play. I think even with the new signings that we've brought in, they're all versatile. They can all play left-sided, centre back or left wing back or right wing back, and it's good because yes, we want players playing in their own position. So Latabaudiere, right centre back, Binks, left centre back. I just think it shows their versatility because they can, if we have to, they can go on the wing and play that right wing back position if we need them to, because they've done it in the past. How do you feel about that, Danny?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, they are sort of utility players for us. But I love Eccles. He's one of my favourite players. I remember I was at his debut. I think he made his debut against. I think it might have been Accrington or someone. I think we won, and him and the other lad played. Can't remember his name now. The centre back who we got from Carlisle, but he's absolutely fantastic. I think he's got a huge future, Eccles, and it proved it by his contract. By giving him a 4-year contract, it proves what the club think of him. And again, he's just getting better year on year again, like all of our players are. But yeah, I rate him massively.
Yeah, do you think he made that central midfield position sort of his own, behind Sheaf and Hamer?
Yeah, he did. He did make that his own, and when I still think he's quite good as playing as a wing back as well. But he's just a really, really good central midfielder. He's a pain in the backside, I think, to some opposition players. You can just see him, and he's just got such an air of confidence about himself, and he looks like he's sort of a genuine, sort of down to earth player, and just suits our squad really.
Yeah, he likes picking up a yellow card as well, doesn't he? He likes to get his foot in. I think some people won money on him last year, didn't they? Because they had him down as definitely being booked, and the odds were all right. So he made a few people happy. How do you feel about Eccles, Josh?
Yeah, completely agree with Danny. Completely agree with you. Got a bright future. Very, very talented footballer. I just want to say how glad I am that we're in a position where we don't need to be playing him every week, every minute of every game. 5-6 years ago, being a rising talent potentially, would be, overdoing it with him, maybe burning him out. But we're in a position now where we've got that squad depth where we can play him when we need to, but we don't always have to keep him on the pitch. And I think for a lad that's, I say so young, we're actually bringing in players that are younger than him, but for 23 years old, you want to be quite careful. But yeah, I think he's within 2 or 3 years. I really do hope that he's a a first team regular because he's more than capable.
Yeah, look, if Gus does go, I think he would. I'm not saying that he'd be able to do exactly what Hamer does, but I think he'd give it a damn good go. Josh, do you think that his versatility and be able to play right wing back and central midfield may hold him back slightly?
Potentially, really good point. But I suppose you could spin that on its head, and you don't really, as a football, you don't really want to be seen as a squad player as such. But if that's going to keep him at the club for longer, that might work out better for him.
Yeah.
It only takes an injury to, one of the players, and he could be next taking that spot for the next 6 months. You just don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing I will say is that I think we're past the point now where you consider him putting him out on loan. I think he has got to stay with us now because, again, he's more than good enough to come in that right wing back position, like we said, central midfield, the holding position. I'm sure if you wanted to, he could somehow play centre back because, again, I think he's that good. But yeah, I'm a big fan like Danny.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for me because obviously everybody likes to hold, that one position that they're known for. But look, James Milner did it at Liverpool for years, hasn't he? Playing left back, right back, central midfield, and whatever else. So, James Milner can do it as long as he keeps his fitness up. I think he'll make that central midfield role his own, if I'm honest. If he carries on his trajectory the way that he's going, because bright future, think is brilliant. Also, okay then, moving on to Jamie Allen. He is 28 years of age. He signed a new contract this year as well, same as Josh and Sheaf. So his contract runs out now in 2025. He's been with us since League One days. He scored 11 goals. He played 11 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. In the 2021 season, played 22 games, scored 1 goal. 21-22 season, played 38 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. But I think that was on the verge of him, whether he was going to be going out the club or not really. And then he fought for his place tremendously. And he made himself a mainstay, when we needed him, when O'Hare, picked up injuries and suspensions and things like that. And this season, I think people might be surprised, but he played 37 games, scored 6 goals and got 2 assists. So definitely his most prolific season, if you like, in front of goal. Obviously, largely down to O'Hare not being available. And, Casey weren't fully fit. It took him a little bit of a while to get going as well. Obviously, over the summer, obviously, we heard the news about his heart condition and stuff. And, again, if he's listening to this, if anybody listens to this that's a relative, just send our thoughts and condolences to Jamie and wish you well and get better soon. And I hope to see you on that pitch as soon as possible. How do you feel about Jamie Allen, Josh?
Yeah, well, first I want to echo what you just said, Stuart. Thinking of Jamie quite a lot. I am a big fan of his. I think, his, what's gone on off the field aside, I do worry for him this season because I think that we've had such a good summer. And if we keep paying him, I do worry that he might not get as much game time as he did last season. But I think he did so well for us last season. I think based on what you said, Stuart, wasn't he our joint top goal scorer or second goal scorer at one point?
At one point he was, yeah.
At one point. I think he is one of those players that are underrated. I think people automatically assume that when you're a midfielder, you've got to either be, hitting double digits for either goals or assists. But he's just one of those players that keeps things ticking over. He's never going to be the most naturally talented footballer in the world, but his work rate and his leadership, if you like, I think goes a long way. But like I said, I can't see him playing as much as he did last season because I think that we have made big strides forward in the summer, especially when you think about that, box midfield. You got Sakamoto that can play there. some could argue that maybe Eccles has leapfrogged him in that regard. So I think
I was literally just about to say, I think Eccles may have slightly jumped ahead of him this season, without, the heart condition, everything that's come out now as well. I think you're right in that respect.
And if and you got Cal to come back as well. If you adapt the system, you got Fabio to come back. So I don't really want to say it, but I can't see him playing as much as he did last season, unfortunately. But that's in a way that's a good thing because it shows that we're making progress.
Yeah, and Danny, it gives us, it gives him time, especially now. We haven't got to try and rush him back. He can get fully recovered. Even if it's a season out. I think, with keeping Gus, and even if we don't keep Gus, I suppose, and we get a couple of new players in, it just gives him time to have a full season out and get recovered, doesn't it? Or as long as he needs.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how long he's going to be out for. I know he's not training on grass at the moment and things like that. But I do like him. He's got bundles of energy as well. He's good to bring on in games in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes when he can just harry people down. And like he did score some important goals for us last season. But I do think, if he does get fit, I don't know, the next couple of months, and he will be sort of a squad player now. I don't think he's going to be a regular starter, but I certainly like him, and he seems to have a good attitude, and he's good probably to have around the club as well. So he's definitely worth keeping.
Yeah, I think both of you have, really knocked the nail on the head, sort of thing. And it's his work rate. For me, I used to have arguments with my mate that comes with me. He's not a big Jamie Allen fan, and I've always been, since his Burton days, I've been a big advocate of Jamie. I think his tenacity, and he just gets in where it hurts. He's not bothered, and that's what I like with a player. Maybe not the most technically gifted, but he gives you everything on that pitch, and that's sometimes what you need. If everybody did that, that determination that Jamie Allen's got, then we wouldn't be far off it every single season. And I think you're right. I think slowly, with the rise of Eccles and with the rise of other players coming in now in different positions, I think there's going to be more competition, and he might slowly start drifting away. But he's definitely a team player, definitely a squad player. For cup games and things like that, to maybe rest other people if they're carrying a little bit knocks and stuff. Jamie's always ready and available, shall we say. So obviously, let's go on to the skipper, Liam Kelly. He is getting on slightly, and people thought that he took him a while to sign that extra year on his contract. We were rumming and ahhing. I thought personally that he may not sign. I was shocked that we offered him a 1-year deal, if I'm honest. However, the last end part of the season last season, you could see why he was offered a contract, because he was just brilliant. He come on, I think it was against Blackpool, I think it was, or Huddersfield. I can't remember which one it was. It started off quite sluggish. I think it was on Sky actually at the time. Started off quite sluggish, and I thought, no, you're not. Your age has caught up with you a little bit. But again, another one that's proved me wrong. And with each game that went on towards the end of last season, he showed why he's skipper. And again, another one like Alan, he got himself in where it hurt. Made a few rash tackles, maybe in a couple of silly positions, but nothing came of it, luckily enough. But again, he's got gradually, again, another one from League One, played 27 games, got 4 assists in League One. The next season, 23 games, 2 goals. And then obviously this season, 10 games, because obviously he was out for a majority being injured. And then just maybe struggling to get in the side a little bit until, we actually kind of needed him. Sheaf had picked up a little bit of an injury, and he managed to squeeze back in and and rightly so, he stayed in. So how do you think the skipper did, Danny?
Brilliant. I'm quite surprised, really, because I was calling for the club not to renew his contract, really, because of his injuries. But he fully deserved the new contract. Like you mentioned, the last 10 games or so, he was absolutely fantastic. And the good thing about him, really, is hopefully, because he hasn't played that much football over the last year or so, hopefully he could be quite a fresh player for us this season. But again, he'll be a sort of a bit part player, I think. But he definitely deserved that new contract, and in a way, I was glad he got it, because he just was absolutely fantastic, and just he proved everyone wrong, and he proved me wrong, really, because a lot of people have written him off.
Yeah, definitely. How do you feel, Josh, about skipper?
Yeah, I think when he come back, started off a bit shaky, but he did get better towards the end of the season, and I don't think he gets enough credit for the role he played in helping us to get to the playoff final. Just that, leader on the pitch, that experience, and he proved me wrong as well, because when he played against Wrexham in the cup, I was absolutely mortified and a little bit sad, because I don't like seeing players that I thought then were past their best. I just felt a little bit sorry for him, but again, it's another example of me being proven wrong, and fair play to him. Do I think he'll be, with a full strength team available, do I think he'll play much next season? No, I don't. But if there's injuries, if, that thing happens where that player leaves, that could open the door for him to play a little bit more. So, but I think it's definitely a good shout from the club to offer him a new contract. And hopefully, if this is his last year of us coming up, hopefully we can make it a special one.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree. But again, Mr. Consistency towards, like we said, the last 8 to 10 games, and he showed why he's a captain. So moving on then to O'Hare. Now, obviously, we know how good O'Hare is on his day. He's unplayable. And it was such a shame, at the start of last season, last kick of the training session, all the Burnley rumours flying around, and he ends up getting an injury, and he's out for a while. And then he comes back and he shows what he can do. He played 11 games last season. He got 3 assists in 11 games. And I'm sure that if he'd played, a couple more games, he could have got a couple more assists. He is a Solio Messi. He is brilliant. Love him to bits. Wish him him and Tavares a speedy recovery. I'll rephrase. I'm not glad that Tavares has got this, but I'm glad that somebody is with him. And it's just unfortunate that they've both got the same injury together, but at least they're doing it together is what I'm meaning. I don't wish ill on anybody. But yeah, O'Hare, we know how good O'Hare is on his day. How do you feel about O'Hare, Josh?
Yeah, echo exactly what you just said, Stuart. Love him. Fantastic player. And what an absolutely incredible mentality he's got. With the crap, sort of record of injuries he's had. You watch him in training now, you see clips and he's still smiling, he's dancing. It's like nothing's ever happened to him, so incredible mentality. I've just got my fingers, toes and everything else crossed that he is going to come back at his best, the same as when he sort of got injured, if not a little bit better. I just don't like the idea of him going backwards, because that's where it gets a little bit, you just feel gutted, don't you? But I'm fairly sure with his mentality and the work he's doing, he's clearly working really hard. I'm sure he'll be back in no time and hopefully better than ever. Yeah,
you kind of look at it, don't you? We've seen obviously Jody Jones, go through it, 3 times with us, and it kind of catches up with everybody, especially if you go it through it, 2, 3 times, and that, that's exactly what you don't want. You don't want to see it happening again. Obviously, I think the new grass at the training ground, the new grass at the CBS Arena, hopefully that's all good changes, isn't it, Danny? That hopefully helps these players not pick up these injuries.
Yeah, it's just we've had a few freak injuries, haven't we, with players? I just hope O'Hare can fully recover. We just need to manage him, really. Don't rush him back. I think he was, in a way, slightly rushed back last season, I think, but just give him as much time as he needs. And just, I think, in a way, this is the injury, coming back from injury, it could benefit us because when we got promoted the season, 2019, 2020, he was mainly used as an impact sub towards the end of the season. So this is the way I'd manage him. I wouldn't be starting him in games. I'd be giving him sort of little cameos, 10, 15 minutes here and there. But yeah, it'd be great to see him come back. And he's just like a infectious lad, isn't he, around the dressing room, and he's fans' favourite, and he'll just give everyone a massive boost. But it was just incredible how last season we won all those games without him. Imagine what we could have done with him.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Yeah. I just think, with the signings that we've made, with Milan coming in, Sakamoto coming in, obviously we will talk about Casey as well, and the impact that he's having, that he's had and is having at the start of this season as well, because I think to help O'Hare to come back and, like you said, integrate him slowly as a bit part, I think Palmer's got a huge amount to do with that, just obviously because they play in the same positions. But Casey's obviously, started this pre-season on a little bit on fire, really, and people are, including myself, are expecting a lot of him. But we'll come on to Casey in a minute. But, as you two have just said, he shows great character. That iconic picture with him wearing the glasses, and pump it up when he's filming himself and things like that. You can just tell that he's a good guy, and we just wish him a speedy recovery and just come back stronger. One thing that I will say, though, is obviously he is only contracted until 2024. So we are going to have, hopefully, maybe, you never know, there might be a contract double signing with O'Hare and Gus signing together. You never know, because obviously he's only got a year on his contract as well. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. So obviously moving on then to the person that I've just named, Casey. Casey's 26. He's contracted in 2025. So he's still got another 2 years with us. Last season, obviously, he started off quite slowly. I think he was the first one to admit that he didn't come in fit. He didn't really have, he didn't play many games for Bristol City. Didn't really have a pre-season because of niggling injuries and things. But slowly and surely, he was getting better and better, and you saw what, all the hype was about, really. And then this season, for me, I've just seen a case is taking it up another level for me. I think he's been brilliant. I think he's probably, of all the games, I went to Shrewsbury. I saw the game against Exeter on the Exeter YouTube, and man of the match. I saw the highlights against who was the first one? I saw MK Dons, and again, highlights showed for me that he was man of the match. Somebody might be able to tell me different, but he's just been brilliant, hasn't he, Danny? And he just seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I think you summed up really well, really, and he seems to have. He seems like this is his club, basically. Whenever you see him in interviews, and when you just see him as a I've seen him a couple of times when I've been in the anecdote. He's walked past and he's waved at me, and with his kids, and he just seems like this is his club, and because he's had quite a few clubs, so it just seems like this is the place for him, and it's quite ironic that his little lad's got an O'Hare shirt, which made me laugh, but yeah. He's you heard the hype about him, and he can do some special things, and I think this season could be the season for him, but again, he's a player you need to manage. You can't just keep playing him, otherwise you could potentially pick up injuries. So yeah, I'm expecting a good season, and it's a good pre-season as well for him.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm just going to look now. I think we've played 4 games. He scored 3 goals. He might have scored 4 goals. It might have been a 2 and a 2 or something like that, or a 2, 1 and a 1 out of the games that we've played. But look, he's scoring goals, and he showed glimpses. Obviously, he showed against Wrexham in the cup. Obviously, he scored that brilliant free kick. And I like the way that he puts himself about. He's not as scared to slide in on a tackle and win a tackle. And if we ever lost, Gus, I think we've got a ready-made replacement in Hamer. Casey. I think we'd have to replace Casey, but I think we've got more options now with the likes of Sakamoto coming in and people like that. How do you feel about KP, Josh?
I think he's gonna, if he stays relatively injury-free and he's somewhere near his best, I think he's going to be my player of the season coming up, because I think he's due to have an outstanding season. He's got so much about him. His passing range is phenomenal. He can strike a ball really well. He's got more skills than I can ever dream of having. And he's just one of those players that does, when he's at his best, does get you off your seat as well. But I think also off the pitch, he seems to be a character in the dressing room that, the lads love. I think he's got a really good relationship with Hamer that's come across this season from, City Unseen and clips. I can only imagine that he's helped Collins and De Silva settle in. Obviously, there's that Chelsea connection there as well. So, yeah, I think he'll have a really good season this season. It'll be interesting to see, actually, when O'Hare's available, how we line up. Do we go with 2 up top? Do we go with 2 in that cam position? It'd be interesting to see, because we've not really seen them together at their best. So that'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. I think I might be right in saying last season that they only had, I think they played 2 games together, didn't they? 1 or 2 games, and then obviously Boxing Day O'Hare did his cruciate. So you're right. I think them 2 playing together again, could be a deadly duo. But we don't know how Sakamoto's going to do. He might hit the ground running and things like that as well. So it's, as a COV fan, it's brilliant, isn't it? Because we've just got so many options and a new unknown quantities of players coming in that it's really good to see. I'm really, really excited. We'll end this one talking about a lad that's just broke through again, another one of our own, Ryan Howley. Obviously, he is a fringe player, and as I think it was Danny said that, Eccles, we can't see Eccles going out on loan. I think you're right. I think is a mainstay of that first team, in and around that first team squad. He wouldn't go out on loan. And I can kind of see that with Howley, because obviously pre-season we've seen him play. We haven't seen him play in midfield like he did at Huddersfield on his debut last season. He's been playing in the back 3. Now, I don't know whether that's because we were short on centre-backs at the time, but even I think against who was it? Who have we just played? Exeter. I think he might have come on for Latibodiere at that right position of centre back. Don't know whether he sees him there or not. How do you feel about Howley? Danny, sorry.
He came on against Milton Keynes and he looked quite shaky in that position, I thought.
Centre back, sorry.
Yeah. I do like him, to be honest. I think he possibly won't go out on loan, because you can have, I think it's 9 people on the bench this season.
Yeah. So
he could be sort of in and around the first team, and again, probably given sort of little cameos if we win in 2-3-0, come on for 5-10 minutes, get a bit of experience, or if we're losing heavily, bring him on for a little bit to get him game time. So I possibly can't see him going out on loan and just being in around the first team, but not starting.
Yeah, I totally agree. The thing is, when you look at Howley, he looks like he's built, for every single position, doesn't he? He looks athletic, he's tall, he looks big and strong. I'm not saying that when he's on the pitch, then things don't happen, but I think that he could put himself about a little bit more and, like Casey does. Casey slides in and he knocks people off the ball and things like that. I don't think Howley did that enough when he had a chance, really. How do you feel about him, Josh?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I'm not, making out like I know him really well, but I did speak to him quite a lot when he was coming through in the academy. And he's a really down to earth guy, like most of our lads are, all of them actually, I'd say. I don't think I'd be comfortable with seeing him at centre back, just because I think that for his age and for his development, you kind of want to see him in a recognised position for him. Obviously, if needs be, and you've got no other centre backs, I think he has, like you said, Stuart, with the, his sort of appearance and how tall he is, he would probably be good as a centre back because he can play the ball out as well. I really don't know what to expect from him in the season, other than him being probably a starter for cup games. I really don't know where he fits in with the, first teamers for the league, other than on the bench. It remains to be seen, really. Yeah,
I think he is that in that little bit of a precarious situation, isn't he? Where you wouldn't be surprised if he did go out on loan, especially if we get another centre back come in anyway, maybe on loan from a Premier League club or something like that. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did go out on loan. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if he is in and around the first team, like you guys have just said there, and on the bench and playing in cup games and things like that. Because I think with the way that the squad's going at the moment and with the versatility that we've got, I think the game against Leicester and the away game in the cup, I think you'll see probably two different sides and a complete change of 11. You might see maybe one or two just to get minutes in the legs, but they'll probably only play, probably 50, 60 minutes and then come off, maybe even only another half an hour. You might see Milan play 2 half an hours, one in the league, one in the cup. Something like that to bed him in a little bit more, and then maybe start him the home game against Middlesbrough. Maybe something like that to bed him in. So, but yeah, like you said, it's interesting to see where Howley would go because I like him as well. I thought he did well when we went to Huddersfield, Josh, and he played quite well there in that position, didn't he? He's actually got assist, I think, in pre-season for one of the games, playing centre back as well, with knocking that ball over like McNally used to try and do. So there's options there that can happen. So obviously we are talking about the midfielders, and obviously we've been through the midfielders that we've got at the moment. So we are going to go on to the transfers that we may bring in. Like I said, we have narrowed it down to 2 each. I'll go first for mine. So for my first one, again, it's a free transfer, and is at that little bit of a stumbling block on probably what to do best in his career. Does he stay in the Premier League at a maybe bottom end league club, but he's just left Everton, and that's Tom Davies. He's 25. He's got Premier League experience. He played 19 games last year. Last year. The year before, he played 6 games, scored 1 goal. The year before that, 25 games, 1 assist. So he's not prolific in terms of scoring, but he can do a job in midfield. He's got the legs, and I think there's potential to get more out of him. Wages are going to be a massive stumbling block, probably, just because he's coming down from a Premier League club, and he was probably on, 50, 60,000 there, and we can probably not even offer half of that, I would imagine. How do you feel about Tom Davies? Danny, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to pick him actually, but I didn't in the end because of his wages.
That's all right then.
Because of his wages, yeah. I think he obviously he was on. I think he was on around about 40 grand a week. He's never going to get that at another club. He is a free agent, like you said. I think he's been training with Bristol Rovers currently. I would like him, to be honest, if we can make it happen. So yeah, he's like you say, loads of experience in the Premier League, and yeah, I can't fault that one. I'll definitely take him if it was possible.
How do you feel, Josh?
Yeah, my only question would be, with our system, Stuart and Danny, I suppose, would you rather him be a CDM or Cam?
I think for me anyway, I think he'd play that. I think he'd play the Gus role. In all honesty, obviously I would have Hamer ahead of him, but because of his age and because of the potential that he's got, there's no reason why you might not be able to play the two of them together. Play Sheaf as that holding midfielder, and then maybe play one up, one behind the 10, and play like a diamond more. You've got two in the centre, one and one either side of the centre too. So that could be Casey, Sheaf, and then maybe them two there to do the legs, because I think they have got the legs for that position. And if Gus goes again, and I think we've got another ideal replacement. Does that answer your question, Josh?
Yes, great response.
How about you, Danny, on Josh's question?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he can play in a number of positions, can't he, in the middle. I thought, is he more a defensive midfielder, Davis? I'm not too sure.
No, I'm not too sure. I think he, again, another versatile player that suits what we're buying at the moment, really. So yeah. So go on to your first one then, Danny.
My first one is a guy at Charlton called George Dobson. He's 25. He can play defensive midfielder, central midfield, also plays a centre back. He's 25, captain of Charlton. Last season, 2 goals, 4 assists. 2 goals and 4 assists in the last 2 seasons, and a massive 27 yellow cards in 2 seasons. He's played for West Ham, Sparta, Rotterdam, Walsall, Sunderland. He was their Player of the Year in 2021 to 22. Contract expires next year. Probably cost about $500,000.
Okay, so a small fee then for him.
Small fee. He's already played 220 games in League One at 25. But yeah, George Dobson. He's
excellent. Like it. Josh, your first one then, mate.
My first one. Firstly, thanks to Glenn for these, because I don't do research like you guys. I've got a life.
Shocking.
I'm joking. So yeah, thanks, Glenn. A guy from the Villa Academy called Finn Azaz. He was on loan at Plymouth last season. I think he played 40 plus games and got about 8 goals. He's been on loan as well at Cheltenham, on loan at Newport. He's only 22. He's an Ireland under-21 international, and he's more of a cam. I don't know what his wages would be, but I don't think there'd be much. But I think he's probably similar to O'Hare, where you could probably develop him, maybe get him relatively cheap and develop him into a good, a top-level player.
Oh, okay, excellent. Nice, like it. Okay, my second one is going on the same lines of what our scouting's been doing recently. He's Dutch. He's a free agent. His name's Chris de Boer. I don't know if there's any relation of Frank and Ronald de Boer, but Chris de Boer plays in the Dutch second division for VVV Venlo. Last season, he played 35 games. He scored 7 goals and got 7 assists. Season before, played 32 games, got 4 assists. In the 2021 season, he had 20 games, 2 assists, and that was in the Dutch first division. He can play as a central midfielder, defensive midfielder, and he can play on the right wing as well. But he's Dutch. We do like a Dutch player at the moment, don't we? So, have you heard of him, Josh? How do you feel about that one?
No, I've not heard of him, mate. But on paper, he sounds really good. Yeah, sounds good.
Yep, 23 as well. Nice young, and again, he's a free agent. How do you feel about that one, Danny?
Good. Again, I've never heard of him, but he suits our business model, doesn't it? Really, and we do seem to be scouting in those countries at the moment. So certainly an option.
Yeah, good. All right, mate. Your second one then, Josh.
Second one, a guy that plays for Ross County called Jan Danda. He come through the Swansea Academy, and obviously got a transfer to Ross County. I think last season he got 6 goals in 39 games. Not sure about assists, but yeah, he's another attacking midfielder. Only 24, and sounds like he could be quite an impactful player. I think if he wanted to as well, he can play on the left wing. So if he wanted to, gamble in a game, he can play there as well out wide. Don't know if you've heard of him.
I recognise the name vaguely, but yeah, again, another versatile player. Like to see that. Have you heard of him, Danny?
No, never heard of that guy either. But certainly sounds good to me.
Yeah. How old is he, Josh? Sorry.
24.
Okay. Your second one then, Dan.
This one is quite a wild one, really. It depends if we've got the money. A guy called Alexander Prass, 22 years of age, can play on the left and central midfielder, currently playing at Sturm Graz, formerly of Lieferfing. He's played over 60 games in the Austrian Bundesliga, 9 goals in 32 games last season. His contract doesn't expire for 2 years, but he's got a value of about €7 million. But this is more of a replacement if Hamer goes. And with the business today and the players we're linked with, I really don't know what our budget is anymore. To be honest, I've not got a clue, because it's all gone out the window. It's totally against what I thought would happen this season.
Yeah,
so,
it changes, doesn't it, from day to day? You think that the spending's over, and then they come out and they're spending another 9 million on a player or whatever it may be. It's mental. You don't know where you stand really, but it's good for us, the fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the midfielder section done then. Obviously, the striker section isn't as long because, in all honesty, I'm not going to walk to the Waghorn. They did play a part a little bit, I suppose, but not much. Obviously, Tavares didn't really have much game time because obviously with an injury and being a bit part player. But he started off, when he come on, I was there. His home game against Preston, that he'd come on and scored that wonder goal, and everybody thought that it was going to change and he was going to start pretty much every game, but it didn't work out for him that way, did it, Danny?
No, he came onto the scene, didn't he, in that game, and everyone thought he was going to start scoring every week. And I remember sitting in my seat in games and everyone was saying, bring on Tavares, and didn't really do a lot after that. He came on in a few games, had a few sort of cameos and bits and pieces, and obviously got the injury. And I think once he comes back, I think it's going to be a loan for him, really. That's the way forward of him, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well, to be fair. I think that's, obviously we've mentioned Howley maybe going out on loan. I think Tavares, I think really, I think he has to go for me, he would have to go to a League One club. I wouldn't want to see him going down to a League Two, just because I think he's better than that. And we need to see what he's like at a higher level to see if he can get into the Championship side. So if he sets the world alight at League One and plays really, really well, then he might stand a chance of getting in. But you've got to give the lad a chance for me, really. How do you feel about that one, Josh Tavares?
Yeah, I've not got really much to add, to be fair. Like I said, it'd be interesting to see how he comes back from injury. I think, like Danny said with Cal, you don't want to rush him back too much because we're okay in terms of first teamers, barring any sort of injury crisis. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he comes back because he is reliant on pace as well. He is one of those players that are quite tricky. Opposition players, especially these sides that play the dark arts, they will try and crunch him if you like. So it'd be interesting to see how he rehabilitates and if he's still got that cutting edge that he had before he got injured. Because I think when he got injured against Wrexham, he was actually one of our better players that game, and he looked like he actually could make something happen. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, we've only up until when Sims signed, really, we only had one striker, didn't we? And that was Godden, because we all knew that Vic was going to go eventually anyway. Obviously, we have got to mention Vic because he, for the past 2 seasons, he's just been brilliant, scoring goals for fun. The 21-22 season, 45 games, 17 goals, 5 assists. And then last season, 46 games, 21 goals, 10 assists. He went to Sporting for 20 million. I think it was the right thing to do. Obviously, it's shown that by the other signings that we've made. Whether that's used his money or not, we don't know. But, I don't think we'll see another striker like Vic at Cov because he was one of a kind. He could do everything. Pace, power. I didn't think he had that much pace, but my favourite goal was the Wigan goal when he turned on the halfway line from the Eccles clearance, turned to, and he just accelerated away from there. Whether they were slow or not, I don't know, but he just accelerated away and slotted it home. The only criticism that I would have of him is that I don't think he was critical enough. He needed maybe 4 or 5 shots before he scored one. If he scored more of his one-on-ones, Akpom wouldn't have stood a chance to get the golden boot. In my view, he would have been closer to what Mitrovic got the season before for Fulham. He was just, if he could score his one-on-ones more, he would be out of sight, and we would have sold him probably for 30 odd million if we didn't go up. But obviously, I think we got the fair price. How do you feel about Vic, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, he was a great player, wasn't he, to be honest? Just a complete striker, really. He could bully a whole defence on his own. He did have pace. That was a surprising thing. He could beat players with pace. He could have 3 men round him and spin them, and he was just a joy to watch. And again, it was just a continual improvement over a couple of seasons with him, and the fee we got for him was incredible. Really, it was great business, and it's already shown on what we've done, where we can bring in 5 or 6 players for the money we got for Vic. So I liked him. He was always just sort of using us really as a stepping stone. Anyway, I think, and he's got his move, and hopefully it goes well for him.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going a little bit dark. Just bear with me. I'm going to turn my light on. Sorry about this.
I was just going to say, it looks like you got an afro.
There we go. I'm a little bit lighter now. It's getting darker and darker outside, and I was getting darker, and I didn't think you'd be able to see me. So yeah, how do you feel about? Sorry about that, guys. How do you feel about Vic, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, complete agreement. Fantastic striker. Probably the second best player I've seen at the club in my short time. And it wasn't even just, what he did on the board, just his presence. You'd have opposition fans worried about him and what he might do. Just the thought of defending against him, I think, for some players was daunting. And it's funny because I agree actually, Stuart, about what you said about being clinical. When you say that to some people, they make out like you're some sort of idiot. You're looking at 21 goals in how many games was it last season? 40-something games. That's nearly 1 in 2. But the amount of chances he missed, he could have easily hit 30 goals last season, easily. And I'm sure at Sporting he will take that next step, really, and be playing Champions League football. And I think he will be a really good player for them. And I think we will miss him, but hopefully we've got someone in Sims that will come on to that. Isn't a replacement, because I don't think anyone could really replace Vic with the player he was, but is, a different type of player, but can probably do, what Vic did, if not more.
Yeah, totally agree. And I moaned about him sometimes being lazy, because I found sometimes that he could be a little bit lazy and lethargic, but I think at the right time, majority of the time, he did the right thing. And I was sorry to see him go, and I do wish him all the best at Sporting. He took his goal well in pre-season that I saw with his goal. So sad to see him go, but like we've mentioned, we've brought players in. Excuse me. So for me, Vic was probably the complete striker that we had. Maybe not the best finisher. The best finisher for me we've probably still got at the club, and that's Matty Godden, Super Matt. His age is getting on a little bit. He's 32. He is contracted till 2024. So again, like O'Hare, it does end next year. But he's kind of been consistent over the sort of the past 3-4 years, really. League One games, he played 26 games, scored 14 goals, got 2 assists. 2021, he played 23 games, 6 goals, 2 assists. 21-22 season, 24 games, 12 goals, 2 assists. And then last season, he actually played 30 games, scored 8 goals and got 4 assists. He was out for 16 games of this season. So just, he would have easily got into double figures. And that's the frustration, isn't it, Josh, when it comes to Matt, is that he's always getting these little niggling injuries that keeps him out for 5-6 games, or maybe a little bit more because something else happens or he has a knockback. He's just never there for a full season, because if he was, it'd make such a difference, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. And I think you've referred to it already, Stuart, about our training ground not helping. But that being said, a lot of the injuries he did pick up, the niggles, were on match days, so you can't really use that as an excuse. But I want to just pay tribute to his penalties, because whenever he steps up to take a penalty, I mean, I'm always almost certain it's going to go in. He's just absolutely clinical from the penalty spot. And again, he's going to interest me this season if we keep him, because I think if we bring in 2 strikers, so if we bring in Wright and maybe someone else, I can't see Godden. We could keep him, but I don't really see him getting many minutes, if I'm honest. But if we do get Wright in and it's just him, Sims, and Godden, it'd be interesting to see how many games he does play, because I think he would naturally be third in the pecking order. And if you play one up top, I don't think you'll see many subs appearances for him at all, really.
Okay, do you agree with that, Danny?
Yeah, I think he's going to be limited this season, to be honest. Especially if we're bringing this other guy in, it'll be, like you say, he's going to be third on the pecking order. And then I still think we'll bring a loan striker in as well. And that loan's probably their parent club's going to probably want them to play games. I can potentially see Godden going. And this is why I think he's playing in pre-season, all the matches. So I think Robbins is showing potential suitors that Godden's fit and raring to go. things like that. He's got a year left on his deal. We could probably get £500,000 for him, I think. So I think he could be potentially out the door to a sort of like a Derby or a Rotherham or something like that. But he is a clinical striker. He can score with just one chance, but like you've mentioned, every season it's just blighted with an injury. And I'm just not convinced you'll get a full season with Godden without picking up an injury.
So like I said, right, in the past, barring last season, he's played 26, 23 and 24 games. So he's averaging 25 games a season. Last season he played 30 games and he was still out for 16. Would 30 games be enough for him to warrant a new contract next year if he could go with 30 games again? Or does he have to have a full season without being injured? Danny?
I can't see Godden getting a new contract. I think even if he does well this season, I think the club's evolving so quickly. I think we're racing ahead really. Like some of the signings we're making now and the profile of players we're signing, I think Godden, unfortunately, will be sort of one of these players who will have to move on. But I can't see him getting a new deal at all.
Okay, Josh, how do you feel?
Yeah, I agree with Danny. Do I think that he's championship level? Yes, I do. Do I think he's a level above or at the level of Sims or right if he comes in? No, I don't. And I just think for that reason, you've got to, we've shown this summer and with the players we've released that there's no room for sentiment anymore. I think all of us will forever be appreciative of Godden and what he's done for us, played a huge part in getting us back into the championship and even keeping us there for a season as well. But I just think that, like Danny said, you've got a year on his deal. You want to try and get some sort of fee because, we are that type of club that does need to get that fee when the time is right. We're not really in a position to let players go just for the sake of it. So I agree with Danny. I think you try and get a fee and maybe get a loan in, like Danny said as well.
Okay. I'm going to disagree with both of you. And I think he's going to stay fit. I think he's going to play 30-odd games. I think he's going to get into double figures. And I think he's going to help us get promoted. And then he'll be given another 2-year deal. You've heard it here first, all right? That's what I reckon anyway.
If we get promoted though, Stuart, do you really think he should have another 2-year deal? Do you think he's Premier League standard? I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but
I think you're getting into the the realms of when Sheffield United first went up and they had Billy Sharp, and Billy Sharp did a job for him. I think Godden, he would be maybe a bit part player if we did go up to the Premiership. Maybe a 1-year deal. I might be over egging it a little bit on 2 years. Maybe give him a 1-year deal, see how he gets on. But again, it's all depending on, for me, how injury-free Godden does stay, really. Because, with all three of us have said it, unfortunately, he's been plagued by little niggling injuries. I think he picked up an ankle injury, and then he was just about to come back, and he had his appendix out, didn't he? And things like that. It doesn't happen once, it happens again, or it's a setback, or something else happens, and it just keeps him out that little bit longer. But I hope he can do it, because I think he is still one of the best finishers. Obviously, Sims coming in is Sims, and if this right comes in, they're younger lads. They're gonna have the legs on him, aren't they? I hope it works out for Godden, because I do think he's brilliant, and I love him to bits. So obviously that's the two strikers that we've got. Obviously, we will mention Sims as well, because obviously we have brought him in. I think we mentioned him a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what for, but I think it was on, in my opinion, with Stuart, one of my YouTube videos that I did, and somebody asked me a question. Sims, again, I think we've said it as well, that he doesn't necessarily replace Vic like for like. He is a different player. I think maybe if this Wright comes in, he might be slightly a little bit more like Vic in terms of holding the ball up and turning a little bit more, and then running at defenders a little bit. I think with Sims, it's a case of Casey, Sakamoto, Hamer, Sheaf knocking the ball through to his feet, one touch, and hopefully he shoots and it's a goal. How do you feel Sims will fit in, Danny?
Yeah, really good. I think he'll probably notch around about 15 goals for us. I think that's the key thing really with these players we're getting in. I keep hearing we need Gus replacements or we need Vic replacements. And I think people are expecting like for like replacements, and that's not going to happen with people like Sims. But his record at Sunderland and Blackpool, he was leading the line last season at times for Everton in the Premier League. But I do think he's not going to run as much as Vic, things like that. But as you've seen, some of the goals like last week, MK Dons didn't really do a lot in the game and just two clinical finishes. I think it's a fantastic signing, perfect age. He has a good season for us. His value will soar. I'm really happy with that sign. I never in a million years thought we'd pull that one off, to be honest.
Yeah, it definitely looks more like the Brentford model that we're trying to emulate as well, doesn't it, Josh?
Yeah.
How do you feel that Sims is going to settle in?
Yeah, I think he'll do just fine this season. I really don't know how many goals he'll score, but what I will say is that I do think that if a chance comes his way, he will be clinical. And I do think that he will be that sort of player that if you put the ball out wide or you get your wing backs higher up the pitch than last season, you know, with Milan in mind and Jay Da Silva potentially, get them higher up the pitch, try and ping the ball in a bit more. I think Sims could get on the end of things and make things happen. So, yeah, I'm really, really happy with that signing. And, you know, I just hope that if we do go to up top, his link-up play is top-notch as well. But even if it's not, you know, we've got probably one of the best sets of coaching staff in the country to get the best out of him, especially with Robbins being an ex-striker himself.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is the coaching that these guys are going to get? You know, we're not getting the very best version of themselves. Probably it's going to take 2-3 months. You know, Robbins will come out against in his press conference and say, yeah, you know, they're training really, really well. You know, he'll play it down just like Robbins does, and then they'll go out and score 2 and 3 goals over the next sort of 2-3 games or something. He's very good like that. But you know, with the coaches, with Lawrence there and Adi there, and obviously Robbins, as you've mentioned, Josh, it just bodes well for him to get better and better, just like Vic did. So yeah, really pleased. So obviously we will move on to the transfers of the strikers. So Danny, if you want to name your first one first.
Yeah, first one is a guy called Bojan Miovski, North Macedonian striker, 16 goals in 37 games for Aberdeen last season. He was playing in Hungary before he came to Aberdeen. He's attracted interest from Lazio, but I think that's gone quiet. 24 years of age, rated at about £1 million. Can play as a striker, number 10 or on the left. And yeah, he's just certainly an option for us. I think with a decent fee, we could probably secure him. But
when's his contract run out, Danny?
2026.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of money in Scotland, things like that. So couple of £1 million or £1.5 million, and clubs will there jump at it. It's proved it with Rangers, where people like Rangers can't afford £2.5 million fees, things like that.
The Panzer deal still hasn't gone through, has it?
Yeah, so there's not much money up. The TV money up there is really bad as well.
Yeah.
So they'll jump at the chance. But yeah, that's just an option for us.
Not a bad shout. Not a bad shout. Have you heard of him, Josh?
What was his name again, Danny?
His name is Bojan Miovski.
Oh, no, I've not heard of him. Sorry.
North Macedonian striker. Ripped it up in the Scottish League last season.
Good. Okay, your first one then, Josh.
Can I just go back straight? It completely slipped my mind. Just quickly, one word answer. If wages weren't an issue, would you guys have Dele Alliot-Kov?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. My first one, a guy called Ayase Ueda, I think his name is, Japan international. Probably a bit out of our price range if we're signing this right. But he's played last season. He played for Cercle Bruges, 42 games, scored 23 goals, so more than one in two. Japan international. He's played 15 times for them. He's only 24 years old. If needed, he could play on the left. Looks like a really clinical finisher. Perhaps a little bit out of our price range, but yeah.
When's his contract end?
I don't know that. You'll have to.
Oh, come on. I tell you what, we'll get Glenn on here one day and he can tell us.
Get Glenn on here because I don't like doing this. I'm joking.
Okay, have you heard of him, Danny?
No, never heard of him myself.
No, neither have I. So you two are going far afield for yours. I'm not going too far afield. I am going to Germany, though. Nelson Waper is 18, so very young. We might be able to get him on loan potentially. Contract ends in 2025. He played for Mainz, however you want to pronounce it, last season in Bundesliga. He played 9 games and scored 2 goals. In the under-19s Bundesliga, he played 8 games, scored 8 goals and got 1 assist. And then I think the season before, he played for the under-17s. He played 14 games, scored 14 goals. And under the under-19s, he played 5 games and scored 9 goals. So this little kid is only 18, but he knows where the back of the goal is. And I think this is all in one season. He has gradually just worked his way up and scored goals throughout. I think he's going to be a big kid. He's going to be one to look out for. Like I said, he's only 18. If we snapped him up early, who knows where he could go? So his name's Nelson Waper. Have you heard of him, Josh?
No, not heard of him. Surprise, surprise.
Danny?
No, never heard of him. Nelson Waper. Oh, there we go. Nelson Waper. Yeah. No, I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
Again,
so
certainly.
Look out for, like I said, even if it's a loan deal or something initially.
Yeah, he's scoring goals in the Bundesliga. So yeah, it's if they will allow him to go out on loan or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he certainly looks an option. His contract expires in 2 years, but he's valued at about €5 million.
Yeah. But it kind of fits our business model with the way we're going. Maybe slightly too young, maybe to take a punt that much on him, maybe, because they seem to be going for, at the moment, your 23, 24, 25s.
Yeah.
Don't they? So might be a little bit too young for him. But like I said, maybe a loan deal or something like that, or a loan to buy if he shows the goods, I suppose. We'll go back the other way then. We'll go to Josh and his second striker.
Yeah, second striker, a lad called Sidney Van Hooijdonk, I think his name is. He's currently at Bologna, but he was on loan last season where we got Milan from. Is it SC Heerenveen or whatever it's called? There he got 26 goals in 54 games. Dutch under 21 international. looks really good on paper. 23 years old. And yeah, he could be one of those that may be a little bit more expensive than we would be prepared to pay, but looks really good. His contract comes to an end in 2 years as well, because I knew that.
Yeah, well done, Josh. Did you
I've got
research
one thing
that,
right.
Kidder?
Glenn didn't tell me that, but I had to research that myself.
Fair enough. What about your second one, Danny?
My second one is a guy from Arsenal, Mika Biref. He's a 20-year-old Danish under-21 striker. Last season, he was on loan at, I think it's a team called Wolwijk in the top Dutch league. Only scored 2 goals in 12 games, and one of those was and he was in the same game. I've seen the highlights earlier on, but he only got around about 300 minutes game time.
Okay.
He looks to me like a player, like a strong striker, and definitely a player that would sort of thrive under Vivash and Robbins. And he's basically been described as a robust player with all-round skills and a knack of scoring goals. And he's been likened to Jamie Vardy, most comfortable as a classic number 9 or on the wing. So that's certainly an option. It obviously it'd be a loan signing.
Yeah.
But he could possibly be one we're looking at, because we do seem to be going in sort of that market really of player.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Just to touch on Josh's as well, that could be a good one actually. Like, I think he's the son of Pierre Van Hooijdonk.
I was gonna ask him that actually in a minute. Yeah.
And this is the thing now with this Dutch lad we got. It's all about sometimes in clubs like players knowing other players. So that one player we've got, if he's played with him at, like Josh said, he's played with him at the club last season, it could be a sort of a pull. You see a lot of these players go because they know players at other clubs. So that could be a potential one, really.
Yeah, sounds good. Well done. Good one, Josh.
It's just outstanding research from myself, isn't it? You know.
Cheers, Glenn.
Got nothing on me.
Thanks, Glenn. Right, I'm going to go a little bit closer to home. He's not the most prolific striker, but he is still young. And it's Troy Parrott. I have seen him a few times, and I think he works quite well. I think he's quite quick. His contract's until 2025, so it might be a small fee or a loan deal. He was on loan at Preston last season. He played 32 games and he scored 3 goals. The season before that, he played League One. I'm not sure who it was. I can't remember. I forgot to write that down.
Ipswich.
Who, sorry?
He's been at Preston, MK Dons and Ipswich.
It might have been Ipswich.
Was he at Millwall as well at one point?
Yeah, he has
Millwall
been
as well. Yeah.
Played 41 games and scored 8 goals. He is still only 21, so there's still a lot of development in there. You know, Vic weren't the finished article until he came to Cov. You know, Swansea fans weren't crying out for him to go back there, and we had him, and you know, we turned him to what he went to Sporting as. You know, so there's always room for development in these younger ones, and some people hit their form later on in life as well. So I just thought that it was a little bit closer to home. Good English player. So yeah, you never know. How do you feel about Troy Parrott, Josh?
Yeah, I definitely have him. I've always said that, you know, if you go through the Spurs Academy or one of those top level academies, you definitely got something about you. And he could just be one of those players that needs that full run of games for us. And again, if anyone can get the best out of these players, I think we've got some of the best staff members in the league, and if not the country. So yeah, I'd have him.
Good. Danny?
Probably not. I probably wouldn't have him.
Oh, okay.
He has played. He's played quite a few games for clubs. In all honesty, like Preston, he scored 3 goals, I think, in 32 matches, and he seemed to do well in League One. He scored more goals in League One with MK Dons, but he's only 21. Like, sometimes you get these players where they don't do anything for years, and then all of a sudden they have like a breakthrough season. A bit like sort of Chubarakpom, players like that. And then all of a sudden, if you get the player in and they have that breakthrough season, people pay stupid money for him. So he's certainly an option, and he's an affordable option, but he wouldn't be
definitely.
he wouldn't be at the top of the list.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's a good shout. To be fair, like I said, I like a good English player coming through, and he is only 21, so he's still got plenty of time development.
He's Irish.
Oh, he's Irish. Sorry. Oh God, that's ruined it completely. I've said English all the way through.
Yeah, he's played for the full Ireland team. Scored 4 goals in 20. Yeah, 4 goals in 20 games.
Oh, you've done more research than me then on that one.
Wikipedia.
Fair enough. Right, so that's it. Obviously, it has been a longer one because we have done midfielders and we have done attackers as well. So, people listening, I hope you can get through the hour and a half of us chatting away. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing these pre-season ones, and it's definitely something that we're going to do next year as well. Just to give you an update on our partner, which is the Anecdote Sports Bar. They are going to have the Leicester Coventry game on the TV. Any people that have been there before, they've had AV issues on the TV. I've been told that it's going to be rectified on Saturday for the Sunday game. But I have also been told to remember that there's no bookings. So they're not taking any bookings, and it's based on a first-come, first-served basis. So please arrive early to avoid any disappointment. That's on the Sunday for the Leicester away game. The following Saturday, the 12th, when it's our first home game of the season, opening time is 9 a.m. and they are going to have a breakfast offer on. So later in the week, I will be sent the menu and stuff for that. So that will be out on our Twitter feed, Facebook, Instagram, and our other social media sites that we've got as well. So how have you found doing these pre-season parts, Josh? You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I've not been doing much research, but it's nice to hear these names. And actually, I suppose that the later we've gone on, we've got more, obviously, information about who we've got in terms of personnel. So it's kind of got, not easier, but it's easier to piece together in your mind who's going to play where. Yeah. I think at the start when we had the goalkeeper ones, I don't think was it just De Silva we signed?
It was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's a little bit tricky then because we had, I don't think we could have just barely put a team together. So yeah, it's been nice. I've enjoyed doing it with both of you. So thank you,
Danny.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Be good to see how many of these ones actually we signed. I think we've had one so far, haven't we? In the is it Bobby Wright or Bobby? Sorry, who's the centre back?
Bobby Thomas, weren't it? You did that one, didn't you?
Josh, I think, got Bobby Thomas. So
did you do Bobby Thomas?
Yeah, I think you did Bobby Thomas.
I'm winning there.
That's that research is doing again.
So it'd be nice to see how many we get. But yeah, like you said, it has been good starting off from scratch, and obviously now looking at signings, and obviously it seems our budget is increased and we're going for more quality players than we first thought.
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I like the transfer part of things anyway. It's what makes pre-season for me really, in looking on who Coventry's bringing in and things like that, and talking about transfers. And I like looking at different aspects of it and things like that. So it's been great for me. It's been great to have you two alongside me as well. Obviously, pre-season is coming to an end. We are playing the first game of the season on Sunday against Leicester. Tomorrow, I am recording with Leicester Fans TV a preview for it, which will be recorded tomorrow night, and then I will be putting it out after the recording as well on our YouTube channel. And then on Friday, I'm going on to Leicester Fans TV to do their preview for them, and that's going to be live at 8:00. So if you want to listen to me talk about Coventry City on theirs, feel free to go onto Leicester Fans TV if you want to, obviously. But yeah, like I said, thoroughly enjoyed it. We are back doing on a weekly basis our Twitter space on a Sunday night. with obviously Josh, Danny, and myself. I am every other week going to be doing In My Opinion with Stuart Rendell, which is obviously me. And that's just me sort of doing a live YouTube feed and answering questions, doing shout outs. And some of the questions that don't always get answered on a Sunday on our Twitter space will be answered on there if you want to ask them questions again. Again, all I can say is thank you to you guys. Much appreciated for coming on. Down at the bottom, you can see scrolling where you can find us at All Things Sky Blue on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We are partnered with the Sports Bar Anecdote as well. So please go and like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Please listen to our Twitter space. And you can look back on these as well if you want to. So please like and subscribe. And thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. And play up Sky Blues. And hopefully we will come away with a win on Sunday. Thank you, guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.